I've started recording because I think this is going to be a discussion or a chat which is maybe worth remembering and maybe even sharing with other people. There is a great deal of psychology here, and so we need to involve people who have something to say on that, which is interesting too. Luz, yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, I understand the question, and I think it's really a great one, Barry. But I think if we start with first happiness, and that we build a kind of network and get in touch with, that we can then in next steps or later on go for the opposite. And I think organizations like War Child or whatever, there are already organizations taking care a bit of that. And I'm really so afraid that we go too far in the psychological things or in trauma things, that we could touch things that we cannot handle on, don't have the feeling to deal with that. So stay with the love and the positive things. Law of attraction would be my point of view.
Well, thank you, Luz. I think you could be right here, that we focus on the happiness, and then in the happiness, what unhappiness, what Barry is referring to, that will be coming out somehow in the drawings, in the type of colors and whatever that is being shared. We welcome Mahendra here. He is calling in from Bali, and Mahendra, just to let you in on to the discussion or the talk that we have here. We're talking about the idea of asking children around the world to make a drawing, and we share those drawings amongst each other. And here in the Netherlands, we already have a partnership with our local theater that we can bring in the whole world to this theater and actually show it online and offline to people. But if we create these values here in the Netherlands, with the children in the Netherlands, we can share it with Bali, we can share it with Canada, we can share it with Madrid or Spain, or everybody here around the world. So producing value by yourself with the local children, then sharing it with the rest of the community has a multiplying effect. So we can create abundance together, and also with this idea, make a platform which engages the children of the world, which is one of your objectives too. We are asking them to express happiness, because on the 20th to 21st of March, there will be the World Happiness Day, and that would be a kind of a kickoff to establish a kind of a movement where we can also share music with each other, theater, other type of expression, but always around the new world philosophy that we are sharing with each other. That is what we are talking about. We have around the table now a few new faces for you, and you yourself are maybe a new face also for the people like Luz. Luz is who has been talking just a minute ago. She is talking. She is our link, for instance, with the Bach Theater in the Netherlands, in Eindhoven. But apart from that, she does all kind of beautiful other things. So we've been partnering up for quite a long time already. But it's beautiful to have her support. And we have Ima. She is from Spain, and she has an art center and a training center for artists for expression. So really grateful that she is joining now in too. And we have Alex, and I would like to give the word to Alex later on, if once we have finished a little bit this initiative here, because Alex has a proposition to make to the group of something that he is developing himself and which could connect everything together. That is what I would like to also do later on. But let's first go with this way of getting artists to further express themselves, starting with the children, but also have the adults and everybody to express themselves in a positive way about what we can do to improve our world, to create that planetary balance and to create that humanitarian balance that we're all looking for. All right, Mahendra, do you want to say something about this? And maybe say something about yourself. I've just received your beautiful CV. My goodness.
Well, you can share it in your network. Heiner saw an exposition of it yesterday. It's a 53-page story of 50 years. So I've devoted one page to each year, literally. And it goes right across the board. And the purpose of writing that one is for myself to know where have I been. But much more, the critical message is to send to the youth of this world that no matter what you study, anything you wish to do, anything at all, by the scope of, I covered 32 subjects in my 50-year life, in my journey of sustainable development. And you apply it to health, you apply it to environment, to climate, and you apply it with your heart and mind, and that makes a contribution. So it's, and other people have picked up my story, like somebody picked up my lecture and wrote a book of poems, 19 poems on that subject. So there are anecdotes in it, how I ended up in the African Emergency Office at the time of the Ethiopian famine, and how I worked with We Are the World to produce it. So there are, Agenda 21 is another one where I wrote the sum. Everything is only if you're committed, and you don't need your government to push you in this United Nations system. You can, with your own heart and mind, by continuing to write and being listened to, you make inroads. But going back to happiness, that's a great subject. Have you, before you chose happiness, did you think of what are the 6 or 8 themes on which you would go into this? Because if you just leave it open, you will have amazing variety. And the idea eventually will be to choose subjects, some kind of a theme. And that is what, and those themes can be related to the challenges of sustainocracy. So I think some brainstorming, not now, but beyond that, is to come up with what are the themes that are critical, that from your experience and the group's experience, and then make a priority list, because the way you enter it will determine where it goes. Anyway, that's just my initial reaction.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Mahendra. Of course, yeah, we the last couple of times you were not participating with us here, and we went a little bit through the idea of what can we do. The idea of bringing in artists is already a few months old. It's in one of the very first meetings. I think it was Stacy and Caroline, and that brought it up. But we started to work on it about 3 weeks ago, and then somebody came up with the idea that the 21st, and it was in the morning, it was Luz who came up with the idea that in March there is the Happiness Week. Maybe that could be the very first theme to get us to practice what the idea is, to trigger the people to participate. And we embrace that, indeed, because it would be a very first one. But then I agree with you. After that, we can bring up more themes and keep the whole thing alive. But let's start with one, which is very significant already, and we have a dot on the horizon to work to. And that if we all look at the 20th and the 21st of March as happiness days worldwide, we can do something with that altogether. Aima, what have you been doing all this week? You were last week you were enthusiastic and you were proposing that you were going to, because of an image, we needed things. So you tell us.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you muted yourself again. Now it's okay. Yes. No, you muted again. You have to. Let me see. We can see if you're unmuted or muted. Maybe I can unmute you. No. You're muted, Aima.
I just sent a message. What is the difference between joy and happiness from a child's point of view?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we see. I've seen the message. Good. Yes, we can hear you, Aima. And yes, we've seen the message, Mahendra. This is quite an interesting question. Now,
Okay.
Aima.
I have three things to say. The first thing is I make some investigation, and there is a foundation that calls World Happiness, and it's run from a person who the name is Luis Gallardo. If you can search for that, it's very well done, and the website is full of many things running on. I think has a few years going on.
Aima,
and
Luis Gallardo is part of Mahendra's network, and he has been already presenting and involved in the discussion. So we know him personally.
Ah, perfect. Then I'm very relaxed. Cool. Second thing is, I would like to remember you about the project I made. Do you remember the name was the International Hug? This can be a very nice project to involve people. Just making something with the recycling and creation. It can do it in any place, from the house or a big space. Do you remember that?
Of course I remember that. Yes.
Okay, now it's in Dutch. I don't have it in Spanish or English.
But
we can
Jaime,
share,
is it
share this,
somebody has the radio on, or children? There is a lot of noise in the background. Sure. All right, Jaime. Yeah, your children are happy, I think. Okay. Sorry about that, Jaime. You continue.
So I think we can share this project. So anyone who doesn't know what to do, they can make this happen.
The thing is that, yeah, sure, the thing is in this co-creation type of environment where we are here, the ideas are shared with each other, and we try to make them to work. We let ideas emerge, and we try to make them real. So if that idea that I certainly remember the hubs and everything that we've been working on already for years, share it with the community, and then we pick it up, and next week we can even talk about it. It is probably also a very interesting item that we would like to connect with Alex, because his idea is also to create communities worldwide that actually become active, connecting with each other. So yes, share it with us via the email. You have the email addresses of everybody. Share it and let things happen. See how everybody reacts. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, definitely. But as I said, I don't have the copy in English or Spanish. I only have the Dutch copy. So
then send it to me, and I make a summary. I make a summary in English, and I share it with the people. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just lose the connection, but I'm fine. If you share whatever, I'm fine with that. The other thing is about the logo and the immersion, and also I would like to introduce my course, because this is a ¿cómo se dice? A tool to make a team, a tool to make a creation, and a tool to do the publication. And all of that, you can find it in my website. I just put it up, sorry. I put now in the chat the link to have a look. What else? There's another thing I was thinking about. I'm gonna write here the link in the chat if I find it. Let me try. And there is I have 5 students. Some ones are from South America, but I don't have anyone from English language. So, this is Aima Martin, aimamartin.com. You can see it on the down the page. I just turn it down for you. I work with the if you can see, or shall I? A ver, ¿puedo compartir la página o algo así?
Yes, you can share a page. Everybody can share a page.
My connection
I do it.
I'm in a little town. Connection is not very good with Zoom and another kind of things. But if you can see, it's an M in orange. A ver si lo tengo en el teléfono móvil y lo puedo compartir.
Can you find it?
You find it?
No. Can you find how to share?
Oh, well. Look, this is the logo. I'm gonna put it on my phone, but you can find it in my website. I just put the.
Okay.
That's an M, and an 20 is with double X, like March 20.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
And has the color orange. The flow is to movement and power. Orange means movement and power. Movement also is the M of March, and at the top of has the green as a heart also with the double X, and the green is for nature, and the double X is 20, but it looks like someone is with legs or and arms, like walking. So this is my collaboration.
All right. Okay. Your contribution to the group.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So you have brought in all the elements like the heart, the M of March, the two X's, which form legs and everything. That only the story itself behind the logo is already beautiful. Right. Thank you very much, and share it with us also if you have a chance. All right. Thank you. Barry. Yes.
Okay. So can I share the screen? You need to enable me to share the screen.
Isn't it not enabled because this I in the setup I said that everybody could be enabled, could be sharing screen, so it should be possible. If not, I make you co-host.
Go to, well, you can make me co-host, or go to security and enable it.
Okay, I'll make you co-host anyway then.
Okay.
I think if you just click on the share screen button at the bottom, should
no, I went to the security and enabled it. So let me start here, because that is the page that I wanted to show you, and I have it up on my screen. But what I really wanted to do was respond to Mahendra's request about contrasting joy with happiness. So I'm just going to go to the other tab. And here is a forum discussion site that was very active. I'm going to move this over here so it's not in the way. This is a discussion site that was active in the late 90s. And here is a discussion called the Joy Project. And it starts, as you can see, 24 years ago. And I started this conversation in this forum. And here is the opening paragraphs. And I'll read it because it may be too small to see it. Dig a little into your own life or the lives of those around you, and you will find subsurface suffering, distress, anxiety, loneliness, frustration, anger, despair, sadness, estrangement, bewilderment, and other ineffable pain. Ineffable means you can't speak it if you don't know that word in English. The Joy Project is an effort to explore, both in a theoretical sense and as a practical laboratory, the process by which we move from suffering to joy, from distress to comfort, from anxiety to confidence, from loneliness to community, from frustration to insight, from anger to peace, from despair to hope, from sadness to happiness, from estrangement to belonging, from bewilderment to mastery, from ineffable pain to indescribable ecstasy. This is the place to tell stories of such spiritual transformations, to discover how such transformations occur, to understand the role of deep underlying emotions in lifelong learning and personal growth, and to create opportunities and supportive environments for such learning, growth, healing, creative problem solving, emotional well-being, and spiritual transformation. And if you go back here, you can see each of these is a page's worth of responses. So there was quite a very long discussion among a group of people in response to this initiation of the Joy Project. And I hope that helps set the context to respond to Mahendra's question, what's the difference between happiness and joy?
Thank you, Barry. That's the reason I asked that was the experience of the pandemic. Stuck at home, you couldn't talk of happiness in this moment, but you could talk of joy, picking up little pieces, just like you explained right now, that you could pick out. So that's the reason for saying that, because the crisis was so extreme that you couldn't talk of happiness, but you could talk of joy. Joy in the family, joy of the music, joy of dancing, joy of whatever. So that was the reason for putting that dilemma.
Well, that's beautiful, because maybe we can get people to get to that conclusion themselves. I just wonder, if this was 1997, Barry, how much of this recipe have you applied to yourself?
Well, that's a very good question, because it's going to take, if it took Mahendra 1 page to do 1 year, there's going to be 24 pages of retrospection. What's interesting is that no matter what project you undertake, so let's say you're the protagonist in the story of your own life, and you adopt some mission in your own life to bring about something that you envision as a dream, as an ideal. And one of the things that I discovered on the social networks is that for every story, when the protagonist steps up on the stage and says, here's what I'm going to do, some antagonist will pop up out of nowhere and oppose you. For every protagonist, there's an antagonist. And I found antagonists. Everywhere I went, I found antagonists that created a drama in which the drama interfered with the objective, with the goal of the protagonist. And so that happened in this case too. And what I found was, as that dialogue went along, for weeks and months, the antagonist disrupted it. They made it unjoyful. They brought in the opposite. They brought in their suffering and their agony. And in the process of bringing in all the suffering and the agony, the conversation kind of disintegrated over time. And in fact, I created a successor conversation about the fact that the first one went haywire. So there is a kind of a meta level. Everything that you do at a given level, it will generate a meta level above it, which says why this level is running into difficulty. And I'd have to go back and find the next level up. If you want, I'll find the name of the next level up. But some people gained, and some people didn't gain and actually interfered with the process.
If, Barry, if it was the month of September, 2 people died in September, Princess Diana and Mother Teresa. That was the month, September.
1997. Okay.
Yeah, within days of each other. They both died, so if your coincidence was that, you can imagine what happened after. But if it was earlier in the year, that's different.
Yeah, the aftermath. Everything has an aftermath. People use the word aftermath as an ordinary dictionary word, but I write after and then math, as in literally mathematics. The aftermath is what occurs after you try to do something that goes haywire. And everything that you do engenders an aftermath. And then the discussion becomes, what is this aftermath conversation about? And that displaces the original thing you were trying to do that went haywire.
All right, we're getting into a great discussion about all this. But let's get into the practicalities of making and getting everybody else involved. I think that there's an interesting question posed by Luz now, is we have created a happiness day. Why not a joy day? I think we have created a happiness day to have very many joyful moments. That is probably going to be the vehicle to have a lot of joy also going along and bring joy to the life of people. Heiner, you want to say something?
Yes,
Heiner,
I was very intrigued by 56 years and Mahendra rushing through all the story of Barry, and it remembered me to the dolly zoom. Maybe some of you have heard about it in filmmaking. Hitchcock has used it in Vertigo, Rainer Werner Fassbinder, where you have a camera which is keeping you sharp, but the years or the background is passing by. And that's a very, very interesting phenomenon in filmmaking. And if you want to find more about it, I will send a link in the chat. It is a metaphor on how can we stay focused and have the landscape or the time just rushing by. And you come to the essence, like the tipping points where you change something in your life or turned 180 degrees.
That'll be interesting too, to look at those tipping points. And I refer often to transfer areas, that is, awareness comes out of moments of pain. And then suddenly you have a burst of awareness, which brings a totally new, different reality, which may bring new harmony, and in society, we see these kind of things coming all the time, that the pain of drama brings maybe awareness and brings a state of joy. And then we go back because we want to control that state of joy and we want to hold on to it. And then we get back into a drama because of holding out too much on it. So it's a circular process, which on individual status tends to have a fairly quicker type of circulation than on society level. I think it's an interesting dialogue, and I think this is something that we could carry on worldwide and involve the children also in giving their views, because this morning we were looking at that adults have a look at happiness and joy in a different way than maybe children, and it would be very nice to actually look at that too. But now I would like to also invite Alex, who's been very silent so far and curious listening into us, to tell us a little bit about his plans. What is the project that you're proposing to us, which is the beautiful name of Crowds for Good? Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jean-Paul. It's been a pleasure to be with you so far. I talked with Jean-Paul last week and want to thank Barry and Eugen for introducing me. And had conversations with both Barry and Eugen as well that were very fruitful. So let's see where to start. I can just maybe quickly articulate what the goal is, and then I don't know how much time we have. I have something I could show you. I could share my screen with you as well. The basic premise is that as this group is well aware, there are so many various challenges that our world is facing right now, and there are a number of individuals and organizations that are on the front lines trying to address these challenges, that are optimistic about solutions to these things, anything from climate to hunger, to human trafficking, to clean air, etc. And so on the one hand, you have a number of organizations and individuals that are really at the forefront. They're innovating and deploying solutions to these challenges. But many of these social enterprises are struggle for resources, for funding or talent in order to accelerate their mission, in order to carry out their mission. And then on the other hand, you have many individuals, like each of you, that care enough about what's going on in the world, that people want to make a difference. They want to contribute their time and talent and skills to make a positive difference. And many of these people already have skills in other arenas, work full time or maybe part time. But there's this surplus of talent that is available, this reservoir of talent, of passionate individuals that can be brought to bear, can be drawn upon to accelerate the progress of many of these social enterprises. How much time should I take, Jean-Paul? Just wanted to get a sense of what
Well, how much time do you need to make
I have a few slides. I could
make it an end.
What's that?
I didn't get how much time did you say? Because
Let's see. I think I
lost
could.
Your voice.
I could. I have some slides. I could walk through. I could kind of keep it short. Go through it within about 5 to 7 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. No problem. And then we leave it to the people to actually process it. Maybe have some remarks, and then we close off the session for today, and we go to next week.
Sounds good.
Okay, so please share by all means, and the 7 minutes are yours, of course.
Okay, sounds good. I'll keep an eye on the time here. Let's see. Hopefully this works. I ran some updates recently, so hopefully there's problems here. Hold on, I'm having a little bit of a...
I made you co-host, so you should be able to do everything.
Okay. Okay. Oh boy, I'm having... So, okay, well, anyway, looks like I'm having some technical challenges here. Zoom is asking me to restart. So maybe it's better for me to save my slides for next time around. And I'll just kind of, maybe just share verbally the concept a little bit more detail. I'll just begin by sharing an interesting case study that some of you might be aware of. In 2012, Elon Musk put out this white paper with support from engineers from Tesla and SpaceX, proposing this Hyperloop, this high-speed transportation system. And it was something that was supposed to, California at the time was looking to build a high-speed transportation system between San Francisco and LA. And what the state had come up with was super expensive, was not going to be really feasible. And so Elon Musk proposed something that he felt like he and his engineers felt like would be economically feasible and also ultimately a better solution. And he said, we're not interested in doing this, but we'll put this out in the open space source. Anybody who's interested enough and daring enough, go ahead and try this. And so this fellow named Dirk Alburn, who had created this crowdsourcing site, posted the white paper and had a very enthusiastic response from people all over the world. And short story is he founded the company Hyperloop Transportation Systems, and in essence grew the company with just a very small team of full-time employees, less than 10 full-time employees, but then crowdsourced contributors, hundreds of contributors from all over the world who were passionate enough about the technology and the cause that they were willing to work without pay, were willing to contribute. They agreed to contribute a minimum of 10 hours a week in exchange for stock options. And so there was some form of profit sharing. And the company has so far, this model is different than traditional kind of corporate model for tech companies. And they've had tremendous success with this model, and they're now headquartered in France, and they're building test tracks, and they have contracts in Dubai and in the Midwest and in the US. And so there's an interesting it's an interesting case study of crowdsourcing and how the there's a real opportunity to draw upon talent and skills of passionate individuals, many of people who may already be working full-time or part-time or retired, who can contribute their skills to accelerate progress and development. And this is an interesting model that can be applied toward social enterprises, where again, you have a number of individuals who are less motivated by remuneration and more motivated by purpose or meaning or cause or doing good, and who are willing to contribute their excess time, like many of you are doing, and as an opportunity to bring about greater accelerate progress toward addressing many of our global challenges. And so our goal with Crowds for Good is to create a platform that would facilitate engagements of, on one hand, the crowd of individuals, those with the excess talent, who have the time and talent, who want to bring those, who are looking for opportunities to contribute their time, to connect those with the social enterprises that are on the front lines addressing some of these major challenges, bring them together, facilitate a way for them to communicate, to interact in some sort of platform, and then with the goal being that they would connect and then engage in some sort of off-platform engagement. And so that's really it in a nutshell. We'd really like to like this to be different from traditional organization that I really impressed by what I've learned so far, reading about Sustainocracy and some of the principles and concepts here, and believe that has a lot to offer in helping us to just principles to organize by, and by which the company can grow and learn and co-create, I guess, in essence, to borrow Jean-Paul's words. So that's it in a nutshell. And so I'm interested, where it's at a early as Jean-Paul said, it's kind of the ideation stage right now. There's a couple people that are helping me with this. I have a couple advisors and one other person that's helping me with this, and that's the stage that it's at right now. But we're close to testing this out with a few different social enterprises. But if there are ideas or ways that you think you could contribute or help me with this, or advising or guidance or advice, that I'd love to learn from you.
Thank you, Alex. When I look at the reality that I have created with Sustainocracy and everything, I see a lot of people who are asking me, how can I contribute? Especially people also who are in a pension scheme, for instance, elderly people, and they want to do something for their grandchildren because they see that they need a future, but they don't have the possibility anymore because of age or anything else to be active themselves, but they do have the money to help set up certain activities that could be beneficial for their grandchildren. Now, so linking two worlds, like the world of the people who want to contribute either through talent and hours and whatever, and those who cannot contribute through talent and hours, but do have something else to offer, like money, bring those worlds together is indeed a beautiful idea. And having an organization which is not depending on subsidies and politics to justify whatever you are asking for, but doing it in a co-creation network, maybe considering upfront, well, all the innovations that are being thought of, that they have to be measurable against health, against safety and core values, the 4 times profit type of ideology that we have, that it has to be beneficial for the human being, it has to be beneficial for society, and it has to be beneficial for the planet. And then obviously it has to give continuity economically. That these kind of values are the ones that are triggering the innovations that we are co-financing through an independent fund. Then I ask myself, it could be a project which is being set up by that same philosophy. If we say we can describe the project, we bring it together, we need some financial funding to get the organization done, to create a network and an online network which facilitates this. It requires some technology, it requires some software development, it requires a couple of things, but it has to be done in a community like this where everybody is involved and in charge and taking ownership of the whole thing. And it is not an ownership of a new hierarchy. Then maybe that is the very first project of the project itself, the create itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is something that I put here in this group. That can we, in some way, be the vehicle to make this happen? We make the description, we create a co-creation, and we bring in the very first projects together, which could be the very first project, could be the children's drawings type of thing that we are sharing across the world. It doesn't have to be a high-tech, high-speed velocity train immediately. As far as I'm concerned, in the same philosophy, we can bring the people to the moon, or we bring the people to Mars. But co-creation, as far as I'm concerned, and my experience so far, is extremely much more efficient and rapid in its structuring than the old hierarchy-driven type of reality where we come from. So if that is an idea to share with each other, then I would like everybody to maybe think about it and see if you can come up with ideas for next week. And that this is indeed a project that, if Alex is willing to share it in this way, that's something that we can take up as a challenge, a development challenge with a broader perspective coming after that. Any remarks about that? Anybody want to reflect back at this instant, or maybe have a question? I see no hands. That means it's clear for everybody, or it is extremely frightening.
I'm also happy, for the sake of time, if people need to go, I'm happy to share some resources over email and let people digest it a little bit more if they want. And then, so. Well,
now, Alex, now that you've done your introduction, maybe you can make a kind of a very first draft of what the idea would be at a co-creation level. And then we can make the draft together, you and I, and we share it with everybody and see who wants to get involved at the creation of the network and maybe also at using it.
It's a great idea. I think you're on mute. You're muted now, Jean-Paul.
Yeah, Mahendra, you thank you, Alex.
No, I think that's a great idea. I just wanted to say, please don't change your mission of happiness, because immediately after happiness, don't forget that we are talking about art, but almost all children have a little phone. And the next step will be somewhere along the road, a little video clip. Because that's the mission of orthodoxy for the youth. And that children are fantastically creative these days. From the age of 7, they all seem to have a phone. And at least here in Bali, they all have a phone. And they take videos of each other all the time.
So, well, if I agree with you, Mahendra. Maybe we are asking for drawings and we reach out on different people, but maybe we should ask for TikToks or something like that.
No, that becomes entertainment. I think the whole mission of this is Sustainocracy, to arouse the children. Like you could come up somewhere down the road to say, what makes you angry when you see a lot of rubbish?
Yeah.
And you will get amazing innocent pictures that tell a story. So the video is the future, and video has become art also. It's becoming more and more. It's a medium art of capturing humanity in its extreme. So anyway, I think stay with happiness as the art entry, because it's easy for little children to take a piece of paper and draw. But then they'll have to scan it to send it to you. Remember that.
Lovely. Sure. Barry. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to close a little bit on the previous topic. I put a word in the chat that you may never have heard of. It's a Greek word, Enantiodromia. It's a word that means that something that has a certain character over time morphs into its opposite. So the sort of something that goes along, has sort of a good vibe, and by the end of it, it's reversed. For example, the Republican Party in America starts with Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves. And over a century or more, the Republican Party morphs into a racist party rather than an anti-slavery party. That's Enantiodromia. And Jean-Paul asked me, what happened to the Joy Project? Towards the end, it turned into a flame war. And that's this thing about the next level up. So then I created another thread, which I called the Dragon's Breath. And the Dragon's Breath was a place where you were invited to flame people. And the same thing happened there. As soon as you invited people to go ahead and flame people, the Dragon's Breath, it turned over and stopped doing it. So what you can anticipate, because this is classical in human systems, is that if you start the happiness project or whatever you want to call it, it will, over some amount of time, morph into its opposite, or there will be participants who will turn it into its opposites. And then you got to be prepared for that, because that creates the drama, the protagonist, antagonist drama. And then you have the next higher level of the drama. Why are human beings have this faculty of turning everything upside down, inverting it? And you have to be prepared for that. And then that makes another story.
Does that work for the opposite too? If you have a mission that's focused on something negative, does it have the potential to morph into something good?
Well, that was the whole point of the Dragon's Breath. The Dragon's Breath was, okay, you guys want to come in and flame and make things, unjoyful? We'll set up a stage for you to do that. And you bring them to that stage, and they don't do it there. They only want to do it where it's annoying, not where it's acceptable. So yeah, it's this phenomenon of enantiodromia, this inversion phenomenon that makes liminal social drama. You have to you observe it and you say, okay, it's going to happen.
All right, Luz wants to say something. Luz.
Yeah, I think that we had this era of either this or that, and so they are opposites. But isn't it that the Aquarius area is making it a more mutual thing, like yin and yang? They need each other, and they all bear the other thing in them. So it's an and. So it's both. Yeah, you can combine things.
Yeah, this is the month of January, which is Gemini the twins, or Janus. Janus is the figure with the two heads back to back facing opposite directions. And this Janus phenomenon, or this Gemini the twins, where they have sibling rivalry, it's going to happen. Whatever attitude you take, the antagonist is going to turn up facing the other direction, and it's going to be verbal abuse at 20 paces.
Yeah, but then either or, and that's what Luz is saying, but there is also this thing that it goes on in time. And after time, we have the ups, and then we have the downs, and that kind of thing. Now, what we are trying to do is get the transformation economy, and that is like, I talked about it, the way our human body works from an excitement point of view and a rest point of view. That it is a continuous interactive thing, which erases each other out, and somebody gets a little bit more, and then you're excited, and get a little bit more, and then you're in rest again. Right. This kind of stuff we can also create in society, that it's not only in time, but it's keeping itself in balance.
Yeah, it's a teeter-totter. You get two people on the opposite of teeter-totter, and it can go this way or it can go this way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We need
well,
this positivity of sustainocracy, which how you just described it. But I personally am extremely worried. As of tomorrow, the greatest democracy is going back from Lincoln to racism. And you don't know the crisis that's on the horizon. And the pity is that no European leader is talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the counterbalance to it. And, you know, it could be the greatest tragedy that the whole world will follow, like we were copying the United States.
Yeah.
And the United States took the best talent of the world there and created the United States. And it's not so straightforward as that Mr. Biden is registered as the president tomorrow, but because the next month starts the big crisis.
Yep.
And I don't know how they can handle it. Because we've seen it in every country. When the mobs march, no army can stop them. No army can stop it.
That's true, Mahendra, and I think the crisis is already going for many years. In 2008, we had a financial crisis. The financial injections and everything that have been going on have been building up towards the situation of today. So it has to blow up into our faces, and this is going to be against a lot of human suffering. But what we are doing here is, even in minority right now, is already creating the situation which comes behind that. So we're already trying to do our best. You with Earth Odyssey and us here together, we're trying to link up and already get that different resonance going. So let's not be, well, yeah, of course we are worried about this thing because it has such an incredible impact in the world and the human world. But let's also be positive about the fact that we are able to already invite to a different world, and that it is up to the people to actually join us in this. So let's keep this positive sense and actually expand that across the world so that the pain is less than if we did not do it.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay, we have filled
the positive entry point. We must keep that seed alive.
Yes, of course. Jaime, you want to say something?
Yes, Japol. Something related to what Mahendra said in the first part of the meeting, which reminds me some reflections that I have had since a long time ago. Well, first of all, I do agree that it is always much better to be optimistic. That's for sure. It's easier to be motivated, to confront problems, challenges, to look for solutions, potential alternatives, and these kind of things. I do agree with that. Nevertheless, when Mahendra mentioned the pandemic and how this difference hits you.
Jaime, you're gone.
World vision of Arthur Schopenhauer, for example, this German philosopher, the idealistic world vision of Plato, the realistic world vision of Aristotle, for example. And I found out that I easily was identified with the idealistic world vision of Plato, because you always try to see things that can be improved, that they could be moved to a better position compared to how they are currently. But at the same time, as we learned that this idealistic position inevitably is related to the pessimistic position, because it's impossible to be in the optimum level of everything. So yes, I think it's, in my opinion, and it's very, very difficult, or maybe for many of us, it's impossible to feel full happiness when you realize that there's so much pain in the world, not just in your country, in many other countries, in different parts of societies and everything. wars, hunger, many things. But as Schopenhauer said, a way to get some relief of this suffering is to have compassion, to help others. And when you do that, it feels good. So it gives you nice moments of maybe, yes, something close to happiness. It's not just joy, because joy, you can have joy by playing football, watching a movie or something, but happiness is much deeper. It's related to harmony, to getting close to what is good, what is correct. And yes, I think that it's possible to have a lot of joy in life, to have maybe plenty of moments of happiness. And even though you are realistic about many things that have to be improved, you still can be optimistic. That's it.
Right. Thank you very much. I think you were opening up a bucket full of discussion possibilities here again, and certainly opens up some inspiration here to share things with you. But I will not do that today because I think we've overrun our time already. And I'm very grateful for everybody who has been here. I hope we've planted a few seeds towards the 20th and 21st of March. I hope you can all do something with the inspiration that we've given about the drawings and maybe the videos and everything, that we can engage children also over there with you, that we expand this across the world also further and beyond, maybe through Earth Odyssey, through the other platforms that are here. And yes, Barry, of course, save the chat, because there are interesting links and everything through the chat, so everybody can save the chat by yourself. I have recorded this, so I will post it so you can listen back to it if you wish. And we can share also this video through the platforms that we have, so that we can engage the people, and also that people can see the motivation that has brought us all together in this. There are many more topics that have been already raised. The topic like Alex, the topic that we have raised, like what Aima is going to share from the hubs and that stuff. Also, the idea of presenting stories like what has been created here in the Netherlands with areas and air quality and all these kind of stories that make us happy, at least together. All this is part of the co-creation that we can have and give hands and feet together. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we are on the trot. We've taken some time to see if we could create some projects. We do have some projects at the hands right now. So I'm grateful for that. And now let's bring them to realization, something that can be celebrated in every corner of the world together. That is the message I would like to close off with. I see Mahendra nodding. I hope we all nod for it. So you go to sleep, Mahendra. I go for a walk with my daughter. So we all have something to do right now.
A very short word.
Yes.
Our discussion was excellent, but the word that Jaime used, and Jaime, what you said is in fact the secret of saving the world. And for you, Jaime, in your own house, right this minute, look at your other half and you find that compassion. And that's the secret.
Absolutely. Well, this is
have the world. Thank you. Wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you next week. Same link.
All right.
All right.